Yep, got it running. Now just doing all the final fit up of the heater lines, putting all the clamps and stuff on them, because obviously didn't do any of that yesterday just to get it running. So doing all the final sort of stuff that needs to be done before I can fill it with coolant, and still have to fit up all the ECU and relays and fuse board and everything up and beside the kick panel, and just double check everything underneath and make sure it's all good to go, and conduit and all the wiring, and you know, pinch weld on any sharp edges, and just make sure everything's okay so I don't end up with a rub through or something stupid one day. Yeah, making the standard XF cable just fit straight onto the throttle body there, and then just put the little clip on, and that'll do for it. It'll do what it needs to do anyway. Alright, well that's on, so that will go there. So is that clip. Just going all the way. Oh, it's going to love full throttle there. Oh. And the thing I've done as well is ran all the factory radiator hoses that tee into the heater lines, and then they go over to normally your basically your reservoir, coolant reservoir. Then you got your fitting there, then you got your top radiator hose, and that's your pressure cap for your system pressure. Basically going to have to make a custom one of those that'll end up sitting up in here, but all the lines are right there, so just cut that one down, that'll go there, one there, and it'll just have a cap on the top like your radiator cap with the pressure. Yeah. Just trying to put this pinch weld around the hole in the firewall, just so no wires rub through or anything. And then I'm going to feed back through the reverse light switch wiring. It's all labelled down here. Ignition and starter, they'll run up to the ignition. Eco and power, that just needs to be hooked up to a switch or a push button just to flick it between. Tacho, XF doesn't have a tacho, so don't need that. And what have we got? Speedo input, so I'll have to run that up to the dash cluster and tee that in. Or I could actually run that out the front and probably tee that into the factory tacho wire on the factory XF harness. So I'll run that through, and then the reverse lights, they'll go back through the wall. And that is part of, that's reverse lights and tach. Just mounted all the ECU and relays and everything, just started up again. Make sure it's all good. It's all good. Just got to do 2 wires onto the ignition. Well, we're up to the rear end now, swapping out the standard XF diff for an EL diff. Difference being with them is it's actually got a flange, proper flange and plate up the front here, so it's obviously a lot stronger, and then they're a limited slip diff instead of just open center, so we'll get power to both wheels instead of only spinning up one. They're basically just a direct bolt in, so it should be easy. This one's just about ready to pull out. Just done the sway bars in, or the sway bar then, and undone all the nuts on all these. Just got the shocks, brake line, and then should be able to drop it out. Just get this up there to hold it, and then pull the shocky bolts and the top control arm bolts out. Of course, with the quarantine shit now, we're only allowed 2 people. Any more than that, it's a fucking crowd, they reckon. Looking at these aren't a direct bolt-in. That bottom mount's way wider. Let's make some spaces up. It's only a locator. It's not going to go anywhere. Right, I suppose I'll do the top mount because that should just go straight in. Oh, it's basically all sitting in mocked up. Just need to get longer bolts for there, make up some spaces for here. Probably 15mm on each side. Do them up, longer bolts, all the rest will bolt in. Brake line and everything's all good. Something I forgot to mention before was it changes them from a drum rear brake to a disc rear brake as well. So obviously braking's a bit better. Yeah, but other than that, it was basically a direct bolt-in, except for a couple spaces and longer bolts there. And the handbrake cable, probably have to get a EL or ED, obviously a newer series one, and that should all go on as well. But other than that, it's all in place. So now I can get my measurement from the flange, diff flange, to the end of the gearbox for the drive shaft company, and they can build me a shaft to suit. Awesome. $63. That should be all he needs to get the flange, and as long as his spigot's that, yeah, that'll be right. Awesome. Some measurements are needed for the drive shaft, so now take them in and they should be able to make that up and make it work. Do you want this back? Yep. I'll head off.